All right, this is our last review video from Honors Chemistry, and this one is about acids and bases. And we're going to spend several chapters on acids and bases. We'll go into a lot of detail and do a much more in-depth discussion of them than we did in Honors Chemistry, but it will be helpful if you remember at least the basics about what acids and bases are. So starting with acids, their definition is that they're going to donate H plus to the solution. So any compound that has H plus, when you put it into water, if that H plus breaks off of the solution or breaks off of the compound and accumulates in the solution, we call that an acid. So it's got to have H to be an acid, and most acids will start with H and then have something else after them. That's how scientists show that it's an acid, is by putting the H first. They don't always, there's a few exceptions, but in most cases they'll have the H first to show that it is an acid. Bases can do one of two things depending on which definition you're looking at. Bases can either donate hydroxide, so OH minus is hydroxide. So things that have hydroxide, like calcium hydroxide, if you put it into water and it dissolves and you accumulate OH minus, that's going to be a base. Or they can receive the H plus. So if they take H plus out of the solution, that's called a base. So they can do one of two things, depending on these two definitions that we're going to talk about next. The first definition is a rhenius. This is also known as neutralization. And this is when you have an acid plus a base, and you're going to get a salt plus water. This is kind of a specific definition, and so we don't use this quite as much as the other one, but it's just a little bit different from the other one, so we do include both of them. So let's just do an example. If we have hydrochloric acid, so H first and then the chlorine, and we mix it with sodium hydroxide. The acid is the one that starts with the H, so this is the acid. The base is the one that ends with OH, so this is the base. When we mix these two together, it's actually just a double replacement reaction, but it's a specific kind of double replacement reaction because it is an acid-base reaction as well. So the H and the OH are going to come together to make water. You can either write it as HOH or H2O. And then the salt is anything that's left over after you make the water. So after you put the H and OH together, you should have a positive ion and a negative ion. When you put those two together, you get a salt. Now this one happens to be table salt, but you have to keep in mind that table salt is not necessarily a salt in chemistry. When they say salt, it could be any ionic compound. So if you get something like calcium chloride right here instead of sodium chloride, it's still called a salt, and that would be the salt of the reaction. So in your progress check, you're going to do several of these, and you'll be able to practice some of those reactions. All right, let's do some Bronstedlowry. Bronstedlowry is a transfer of the hydrogen from the acid to the base, because remember, acids are the one donating the hydrogen, the H plus. It's not just hydrogen, it has to have that plus on it. And then bases are receiving it. So if we had something like H and X, and let's just make this Y minus. So the acid is going to donate the hydrogen, so this becomes X minus, and then this is going to become H and Y. So notice that they switched. In this case, it happens to be like a single replacement reaction, but it won't always. The acid is going to be the one that donates the hydrogen. The base is the one that receives it. And then on the other side, we can rename these, because now that Y has a hydrogen with it on the right, it's now ready to donate that hydrogen. And so now it has become an acid. And so we don't confuse it with the other acid, the HX, we call it the conjugate. So conjugates are the things that are formed. And then this one would be the conjugate base. It can't be an acid because it doesn't have a hydrogen. So notice that the hydrogen was transferred from the acid to the base. And I just remember that because just like when you sing the alphabet song, it goes from A to B, it's the same thing here. It goes from the acid to the base. And then on the other side, the thing that was the acid becomes the conjugate base. The thing that was the base becomes the conjugate acid. So they become opposites. All right, our next thing is going to be about the pH scale. So we think that P, the P stands for power, the power of the hydrogen. That's what I've heard. I didn't hear that from an actual scientist, so I heard it from Crash Course if you've seen those guys that produce those videos. So I'm not sure if they actually knew that, but we'll assume that they did. And I think it sounds pretty cool. It sounds like a superhero thing. So we'll go with it. The power of the hydrogen. This is a scale that goes from 0 to 14, although it can actually go beyond that. So if you ever get a slightly negative number for pH, that's okay. It doesn't have to stay exactly within that range. To the left of the 7 is acids, and the farther you get from 7, the stronger it's going to be. So this would be a strong acid. This is going to be a weak acid. Right at 7 is neutral. Then we have a weak base, and then as we get farther away, we get to, whoops, sorry about that. That should be a strong base. And so this is actually a measure of how many hydrogen ions we have, H+. The more hydrogen ions we have, the lower the number is going to be. And then as the base uses up the hydrogen or takes it out of the solution, then we're going to end up with a stronger base. So you can kind of go either direction depending on how you change the pH. There are 6 equations that you did in honors chemistry. This is the first one. So this says that pH is equal to the negative log of the hydrogen ion concentration. So just as a reminder from our last lesson, those brackets means concentration. So if they gave you the molarity of the H+, you could plug it in there, and then you just hit on your calculator, the negative button, there's a button that says LOG, parentheses are going to pop up, and you type in the molarity, and when you hit enter, it will give you the pH. You can also do the same thing with POH, which is a measure of the hydroxide. It's the same equation except you have OH instead of H. So the POH is equal to the negative log of the concentration of hydroxide. If you rearrange this equation, if you know how logs work, which it's okay if you don't, but if you know how logs work, this is a log base 10. So if you take that negative and move it to the other side, divide both sides by -1, and then you say 10 to the negative pH will equal the bracket H+. So this is the same exact equation as the one on top of it. It's just written in a different way. It's rearranged. So if you know how to do logs, you'll know how to rearrange that. If you can't, it's okay. Just go over this for now and just use these equations when you do the progress check. Same thing with here. If we rearrange this one, the concentration of hydroxide is equal to 10 to the negative POH. And then there are 2 more equations that can help you. One is that if you ever have one of the P's and you want the other P, they add up to give you 14. So if you have pH and you want POH, just subtract it from 14. And the last one is that the 2 concentrations will always multiply to give you 10 to the negative 14th. And so you can use these equations to do all kinds of things. So on the progress check, they're going to give you a concentration of something and you have to figure out the pH. Or they might give you the POH and you have to figure out the concentration. Most of the time you can just use one of these 6 equations to calculate what you need, but sometimes you'll have to do 2. For example, if they gave you the pH and they asked you for the concentration of hydroxide, so the bracket OH minus, what you could do is subtract pH from POH using this equation here. Subtract it from 14. If they gave you pH, you can subtract it from 14 to get POH, and then you can plug POH into this equation here to get bracket OH minus. So sometimes you'll have to use 2 equations, but you can kind of just do trial and error. So look at what they give you and then see where you can plug that in and see what information that would give you if you did plug it in. And you can figure out how to get to the variable that you need. You do have to be careful. They might not tell you that it is the concentration of H+. So they might say that you have 3 molar HCl. You have to recognize that this is an acid because it starts with the H+. This happens to be a strong acid, which means it dissociates completely. We'll talk about that in a minute. And so the concentration of HCl is going to be the same as the concentration of the H+. So in this case, what they're telling you here is bracket H+. So you would plug it into this equation right here. Same thing if they give you something with OH, that would be the molarity or the bracket of the OH minus. And that is the last thing I want to talk about is strength. We'll do titrations a whole other time, so I'm not going to do that here. But when we talk about a strong acid, It means that it dissociates almost completely. I say almost because almost nothing in chemistry is complete. A strong acid's like 99 point something dissociate. So what I mean by that is when you dissolve hydrochloric acid into water, you're going to get almost all H plus and Cl minus. So like 99% of this is going to be H plus and Cl minus. So this is a strong acid. If we do a weak acid, so something like HF is a weak acid, when we put this into water, a little bit of it is going to dissociate into ions, but most of it will stay together as a compound. So for a weak acid, like 99% of it stays together. For a strong acid, 99% of it breaks apart. And we, in chemistry, we actually round that to 100. So we usually make the assumption in our calculations that strong acids and strong bases as well will dissociate completely. So it's kind of the opposite of what you think. When you think strong, you want to think that it's a strong bond, so it stays together, and it's actually the opposite. Strong acids produce a lot of hydrogen ions, and so they break apart completely. However, don't get that confused with concentrated. So let me just make the difference between them. Strong and weak has to do with the bond, and you cannot change that. So if I ever ask you, how can you make a strong acid weak? It's a trick question because you can't. It's either strong or it's weak, and you can't control that. It's just how the bond is, how it breaks apart. But what you can control is concentration. So you can make something concentrated by dumping more of the stuff in there. You can make something dilute by adding more of the solvent, usually water. So you can change how concentrated or dilute something is. That's a ratio of the solute to solvent, but you cannot change the strength of something. It's either strong or it's weak, and that's just how it is. And there's only 6 strong acids. You'll become very familiar with those throughout the semester because we'll be using those a lot. And then for the strong bases, they're going to be groups 1 and 2 bonded to hydroxide. So that's not as bad to remember. And that is it for acids and bases. So that was your last review chapter. Don't forget to make sure that your notes are organized and that you're ready for your review test tomorrow. Thank you, and I'll see you in class.